On today's episode of Time About the Movies, we take a look at Fast 5, the fifth installment in the Fast and Furious series, and the Fast and Furious movie that kind of changed the game for how we look at the Fast and Furious movies from this point going forward. At least for a little bit, until they kept making movies. But we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll also take a look at Disney's latest film, Prom, because, you know, apparently they're going to try to make prom seem like the most important thing ever, and not in a way like in a college R-rated raunchy comedy, but no, in a Disney-fied high school musical-esque type of fashion. You'll see how that turns out. But we also have Hoodwink 2, Hood vs. Evil, the movie that pretty much everyone thought the first Hoodwink was going to be, and Brandon Routh and Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. It's April 29th, 2011, and this is Time About the Movies. It's funny that he thinks that this is the last time that he'll see Paul Walker again, and yeah, spoiler alert, it's not. He only have one film, but welcome to Time About the Movies. It's April 29th, 2011, and we are taking a look at the 4 new releases of that weekend, and apparently Universal came in and said, yeah, fuck you, Thor, we're the movie that's going to kick off the summer movie season this year, because, yeah, this is the film that kind of literally begins the summer season as the summer months began, not but a couple of days after this movie was released, and that movie, of course, is our first film, and that is Fast 5. Paul Walker's back once again as former cop Brian O'Connor, partnering up with ex-con Dom Toretto, played by Vin Diesel, on the opposite side of the law. Since Brian Mia Toretto broke Dom out of custody, they've blown across many borders to elude authorities. Now back into a corner in Rio de Janeiro, they must pull one last job in order to gain their freedom. As they assemble this elite team of top racers, the unlikely allies know their only shot of getting out for good means confronting the corrupt businessman who wants them dead. But he's not the only one on their trail. Hard-nosed federal agent Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson, never misses his target. When he's assigned to track down Dom and Brian, he and his strike team launch an all-out assault to capture them, but as his men tear through Brazil, Hobbs learns he can't separate the good guys from the bad. Now he must rely on his instincts to corner his prey before somebody else runs him down first. And yeah, the Fast and Furious movies are certainly a very intriguing series when you really look back at how this series began, with the first Fast and Furious movie being a straight-up street car racing movie, and now we're literally turning into a heist picture, and this film is going to get more crazier and more insane. The series is going to get more crazier and more insane as time goes on, and this one, like I said, this one goes for more of a heist film a la The Italian Job more than a car racing film, and honestly, it's interesting to see a franchise like this going in that direction, and because it kind of makes it work in general. I mean, usually when franchises do this, it doesn't really pan out all that well when you move to another genre completely. I mean, look at what happened this summer with Megan 2.0 of all things, but I did really enjoy this one a lot. I feel like these characters were given more depth in the film than any of the other films. I thought the action sequences overall were very good, especially the one at the end, which I'll get to in just a second. The Rock and Elsa Pataki, who's actually Vin Diesel's wife at the time. I don't know if they're still are or not, but I mean, I thought they were brought into the story very well. They actually had a good job in here, and I thought Elsa Pataki, of all people, was actually the best actor in the entire movie. But the thing that really seals this as its own animal is the final climax when they're escaping from the Brazilian police, and it's really one of the best car chases you will ever see. Like, it's the best one I ever saw since Bad Boys 2. I mean, the Bad Boys 2 car chase scene is great. This is definitely very high up there. I mean, this is such a fun time all across the board, with notable flaws. I mean, yeah, some of the action sequences can be very cool to look at, but they are extremely unnecessary. It just kind of pop up out of random. Like, really, there'll be scenes where you don't expect it to come, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, here's a random action sequence. Oh, and another flaw to the film I really don't like is, I kind of touched on this with Pearl Harbor. One of the characters says, "I'm pregnant," and when I heard that line, I thought to myself, why are we going to add babies into the world of Fast and Furious? I mean, it's usually brought in a franchise when a franchise runs out of steam, and it's never better than its predecessors. I mean, Shrek and Ice Age kind of had that happen, and a franchise like Fast and the Furious, where the films have gotten better since Tokyo Drift, I don't know. The idea of bringing babies up in the series really does not feel like it fits, at least in my opinion, but maybe my biggest Probably my biggest flaw with the film was the post-credits sequence where they revealed that Letty was actually, she died in the last movie, but she's somehow still alive and it did a hijacking in Berlin. It's a scene that kind of comes completely out of the blue, and there was no need for that scene except to tease fans that another movie's coming within 2 years' time. And I got pretty mad about him, but then I realized they never officially showed in Fast and Furious that Letty was never killed off. But I mean, we should have known by then that. I should have known by this point that when it comes to the Fast and Furious, they're like the testosterone equivalent of a soap opera. When somebody dies, they're never really dead. I mean, we've seen that time and time again with the Fast and Furious movies, and even after the last couple movies, like, I don't know, them bringing the dead characters back seems kind of pointless to me. That's just my personal take on it overall, but I really like Fast 5. I think it is a ton of fun. I think it definitely is the thing that really pushed Fast and Furious to another complete level that nobody was really expecting it to. It was just good fun. It was just a good, fun time all across the board. The perfect definition of a great summer popcorn movie, and a great way to kick off the summer movie season. So that's Fast 5 for you. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Disney's Prom.
I was just taking inventory of this bucket.
That would be one.
Oh my god, the schmaltz. The cheesy schmaltz. Oh god. Yeah, when you're making High School Musical look butch by comparison, that's a problem. And High School Musical wasn't even a theatrical release series until the third movie. This does not feel like a film that should be seen, that should be put on the big screen. This should have been a Disney Channel original movie of the week, but no. Somebody said, clearly we need to put this on the big screen. We have a badass director involved in this. The guy who gave us Sydney White. Yeah. So, prom and high school graduations are approaching for a group of seniors, but when the decorations are destroyed in an act of school vandalism, the class president is left scrambling. With everybody else preoccupied with finding dates and dresses, prom committee Nova Prescott, played by Amy Teagarden from Friday Night Lights, the series, is left to rely on the principal forcing a troublemaking rebel to help her out. But when he's there for her when she needs it, she starts looking at him in a different light. Put your schmaltzy bullshit out. Get your schmaltzy bullshit out. Right the fuck out of here. This movie is so stupid. This is such a stupid, stupid movie. It is schmaltzy. It is cheesy. It is corny. It is really lazy. And I mean lazy. But hey, we have these new high-tech cameras that we're gonna promote the shit about with this movie. I'm not even kidding. This movie is more known for the fact that they use Arri Alexa cameras to be released in theaters. And it's something I never even knew about until I literally did the research for this movie. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but what is the difference here? I'm trying to see if there's anything interesting here, or Arri Alexa AR. The Alexa's tonal range, color space, and latitude exceeds the capabilities of shooting in film. This camera's brought us to the point where digital is simply better. Okay, so maybe I guess this became the new norm for making digital cinema in general, because that's Roger Deakins who said that. And of course, Roger Deakins is one of the great cinematographers we've ever had. But is this really the first thing you think of when you want to be known as the movie that uses this type of a camera? Like, I don't know. Like, this film does not feel like a movie that should be on a big screen. This thing should have been a Disney Channel original movie, but I think because they had the girl from Friday Night Lights, which Friday Night Lights, and that is like Amy Teagarden in 2011 was 22 years old. She should have been out of high school at this point. You also have Cameron Monaghan. You also have Kylie Binbury from a very underrated show, Pitch, and also Game Night. Rainey Rodriguez from Paul Blart Mall Cop. Like, you have all these different people from different age brackets all in this one movie. Plus, I went to high school around this time. I was in high school 4 years prior to this, and I can guarantee you that nobody took prom as seriously as this movie does. Like, they make prom the equivalent of asking somebody to marry you. Like, that's what they make this feel like. No sane person on the planet can tell you that they've been in high school and this shit has happened before. The only reason this happens is because you have a movie like this saying that it's the norm, or you have MTV making a show about, you know, the perfect prom proposal or something like that. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. This is corny ass shit. This is the laziest, most blandest piece of garbage I have ever seen in my life. And yeah, this thing is just a mess. This is a terrible movie. Surely you can tell what I'm going to say next, but avoid it like the plague, because yeah, there are so many other better options out there than this pile of garbage. Not that many, considering the year we're in, but case in point with our next movie that we have here, Hoodwink 2, Hood vs. Evil.
Hoodwink 2, Hood vs. Evil, rated PG.
Even their attempts at comedy are lazy. I mean, my God. I guarantee you that when most people saw this movie, the first thing they thought was, oh, so this is what I thought the first Hoodwink movie was going to be. It's like the equivalent of what happened with Mannequin 2 on the movie. You expect Mannequin to be this really bad movie, and it kind of is, but it's kind of a fun, cheesy kind of bad. But the sequel was everything that everyone thought the first Mannequin was going to be. That's the same thing you could say about Hoodwink, because, yeah, this is pretty fucking awful. A movie that has no idea what the hell they're trying to accomplish, and yeah. The plot of this is that Red and Wolf must team up to rescue Hansel and Gretel and Granny from an evil witch. And of course, we have to replace several notable names in here, including Hayden Panettiere, who now plays Red in this instead of Anne Hathaway, because Anne Hathaway's an Academy Award nominee at this point. You got Patrick Wilson back. We got Glenn Close back. Martin Short has replaced Jim Belushi as the Woodsman. If Jim Belushi doesn't even want to be involved in this, then you've got a huge problem here. Hey, Bill Hader and Amy Poehler are Hansel and Gretel because they were on Saturday Night Live. We got David Ogden Steyer's back as Nikki Flippers. Cheech and Chong are in here. We don't know why, because they're still doing stuff. Phil Lamar's in here. Brad Garrett. Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton is in here. Heidi Klum. Danny Pudi. Deborah Wilson. David Allen Greer. Andy Dick. These notable names that should be in much better things, but instead they're wasting their talents on this piece of shit right here. This movie is so bad on so many levels. From the humor to the animation, which looks somehow even choppier and worse than the original. But at least the first one had people who were actually putting effort into it and made a funny movie out of it. The original Hoodwink is still one of the more underrated animated films you'll see out there, but this film is such a mess of a movie. Like, it's so bad that the company that made this movie sued the Weinstein Company for delaying the film's release, because Burger King had this toy line that they were going to do in 2010, because that was supposed to be when the movie came out. But then, the company sued them, and they didn't make any contributions to monthly production accounts after February 2009, and didn't even give them a release strategy in general. And so, the Weinstein Company basically screwed this animation company out of trying to get this film out there and having it make money. And it just shows, man. Nothing about this movie, the effort in here is nowhere to be found. It's a mess of a film, a terrible, terrible movie. I think you get the point. Hoodwink 2, Hood vs. Evil. Yeah, another one you should avoid like the plague. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Brandon Routh getting another big leading role in a comic book movie, I should say, not a superhero movie. Not quite as good as Superman Returns, but I don't know. I actually kind of didn't think it was as bad as most people let on it to be. Dylan Dog, Dead of Night.
Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. Rated PG-13 in theaters April 29th.
Now, granted, I never read the comics that this is based off of. I'm just going directly off the movie, but coming into it, I really wasn't expecting a whole lot, because most of the negative reviews for it were really bad. But I had it as part of a 4-film set that I got a couple years ago. I watched it, and I didn't come out hating it. I actually didn't mind it at all. I mean, it's not a great movie, but there's stuff in it that I kind of enjoyed about it. Brandon Routh stars as the epimonious, antagonistic, and self-aware detective who investigates cases involving the vampires, zombies, and werewolves of New Orleans, including a guy who's turned into a zombie played by Sam Huntington. You also have Peter Stormare and Taye Diggs. There actually are a couple of really good funny lines. Like, I love that one in the trailer there where the guy's just like, "What happened to my arm?" And he's got like a black arm. It's just like, well, they ran out of Caucasian arms. It's like, stuff like that actually is pretty funny, and there's a couple of moments in there where the humor is really good. Brandon Routh has a lot of charisma. I'm actually disappointed that he really didn't get to do a whole lot more in terms of these big leading starring roles after Superman Returns, but I didn't think this movie was that bad. I thought it was just a solid film overall, a decent film. It kind of reminded me of this movie that came out in the 1990s, Cemetery Man with Rupert Everett. And, a little bit of Dead Again with the Peter Jackson movie. Dead Alive, not Dead Again. Dead Again's the one with Kenneth Branagh. I'm talking about the Peter Jackson movie from the 1990s, Dead Alive, which, yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of those tropes there. It can get cheesy at times. The visual effects are not that strong either. And, considering this came from the same director that did TMNT, it's not really worth saying much to say that this is probably his best overall film, because TMNT had its moments, but it's kind of boring, honestly. And this is kind of a movie where it's slightly better, but not by that much. And I wouldn't even go out and say check it out if you want to, because most people will tell you that, yeah, it's not that great of a movie. Some of them mostly have read the books overall, so I don't know. I'm going to this relatively unknown, and I didn't hate it. I just was kind of like, it's there. There's times when I did chuckle, times when I did get a good laugh. So yeah, overall, mixed opinion on that. What the hell was I doing with my arms? Just doing like peace out, bruh. No. Mixed opinion on that one. Kind of bordering towards slight down, maybe slight up. It's one I will probably never watch again, but I'm glad I saw it for what it was. So yeah, that's Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, we'll take a look at the first 4 movies, official movies of the summer 2011 movie season. The first 4 months were rough. There were very few successful weekends where there were a lot of good movies. But hopefully we can turn the tide with the movies that kick off May, including Chris Hemsworth making his MCU debut in Thor, which, even though it has the great director Kenneth Branagh involved, the first 2 Thor movies are not my favorite films in the MCU. Not because of Chris Hemsworth, but just kind of some of the other stuff in there as well. We'll touch on that on the next episode. We also have one of the big surprises of the year, Paula Patton starring alongside Angela Bassett, Loretta Devine, and Laz Alonso in Jumping the Broom, based off of the story by T.D. Jakes. We also have a lackluster comedy, maybe one of the worst romantic comedies ever made. Kate Hudson, Jennifer Goodwin, and John Krasinski starring in Something Borrowed. And, do I have any? What was the other one? Oh, there it is. And we do have another underrated gem of a film, directed by Jodie Foster and starring Mel Gibson along with Anton Yelchin. And another one of Jennifer Lawrence's early films, and that is The Beaver. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies coming up on the next episode. Overall, not a bad slate of movies, with one exception. Maybe 2, but we'll touch on those on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I want you to go ahead and please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button so you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and also don't forget to check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.